everyone. So I asked on Instagram for what people wanted to hear about on a vlog, and a lot of people commented they would like to hear some mental health tips on how to improve mental wellness. Now, I'm no expert. I'm not someone who has any professional training in this area, but I have suffered from depression myself and quite a bit of anxiety throughout the years. And after my daughter was born, I had a lot of depression happen because I split with her father before she was born, and all of those emotions and being a single mum and all of that, I went through a very, very bad time. So I learnt over the time what I needed to do to make myself feel better, and mentally what I needed to do. So some of the tips that I've got are from personal experiences, whereas some of them other people have told me that work for them. I don't really know if they work for me as such. I know going to see a therapist is probably the first step that everyone says, go see someone, go speak to someone. I did that for a little while and I found it didn't work for me. Talking to a stranger that I had no idea who they are just didn't work for me. I didn't get that connection with that person, and I'm sure if I tried again to speak to someone, I might find someone I do feel comfortable with, but for me that didn't work. I find talking to my family or close friends about what I'm going through, that helps me more. And I'm sure if it was in a situation where it's more serious, where they can't help me, then yes, I would go and speak to someone professionally. But for me, ringing up a friend going, look, I'm not doing so well today, I need some help on this issue, that helps me more than ringing or speaking to someone I don't know. So that's probably the first step that everyone says, go see a doctor, go see a therapist. And I'm not saying that is not what you should do. I think if that works for you, go do it. But for me, that just didn't work. I found going to the gym every day or getting out and doing exercise every day, that helps me a lot. If I don't get to go out of the house for 1 or 2 days, I find that my mental wellness goes down. My mental health is just down the drain because I'm in the same four walls. I feel trapped. I feel like I can't get out. Whereas if I get out of the house, even if it's just a 5-10 minute walk, that helps me with settling my brain and getting everything back to normal. My other go-to is having a bath, which sounds really funny, but having a bubble bath with music playing, the lights turned off, maybe even a candle on. It sounds really girly, but that helps. It sort of relaxes me, relaxes my brain, especially if I put music on that I really enjoy and it's really calming. That helps me just to get back to reality. So some of the other things that I have found is having those little mummy indulgences. So over the time, I found that getting my nails done is my little indulgence. Once a month I go get my nails freshened up, nice and colourful. I get to choose which colour I have, and I find that is my time, that's my mummy time away from my daughter and now my son, and that helps me. My hobbies that I do to sort of relax, I draw pictures. I love drawing. You don't have to be an artist to be able to draw for pleasure. I know colouring in for adults was a very big trend for a little while, and I think it's absolutely amazing because that is perfect for people who aren't perfect at drawing but want to just have a bit of downtime. I read a book. I gotta admit, I haven't read a book in a very long time, and that is something that I find helps with my mental health, because it's a bit of an escape from my life, from my little world, and it makes me go away. It's almost like a holiday in a way, just by reading a book. I learned how to crochet a little while ago, so sometimes I get my crocheting out and I start crocheting away, and I find having my hands busy helps me. Just having something else to concentrate on as well takes me out of what's going on in my head. And if you suffer from depression, you'll know that a lot of the time you're in your head. It's all of those negative thoughts going around. So yeah, learning a new skill like crocheting, I'm not saying to go out and do crocheting because not everyone can do it, but learning a new skill makes you feel empowered that you can do something, you can do something different. I used to I'd drive over to the ocean and I'd sit by the water and just watch the ocean, and just watching the waves and how beautiful the water looks. That also helped me with my mental health, and it's something that I wish I could do more often, because yeah, it just really helps sort of relax, and yeah, it's sort of that calm motion of the water. Another tip I found was writing a journal. I love to write. I love to write down my thoughts, and I could either write it in a journal, like a written one, or on the computer. So either way, I'm able to write down what's going on in my head. And sometimes once you write it out, you go, okay, that's pretty silly. Why am I thinking that? And that can also help you see that your train of thought is on a negative path. Whereas if you write it down and you have a look at it, you go, okay, that's all negative. What's my positive? What can I think about that's positive, and what can I write about that's positive? On that note, having a gratitude book is another tip that I've heard, and I've tried to do that, but I'm not consistent enough to keep one. By writing down or thinking about the things that you're grateful for in your life, you're looking at the positives rather than negative. And when you've got that depression, sometimes you need to look at that positive rather than negative. Some of the other things are play a board game with a friend or a family member, watch a movie. I would actually suggest sticking away from movies unless you're a type of person that breaks away from your depression, because I have found in the past that by watching TV or a TV show, I get so ingrained in it that it sometimes spirals me back down rather than bringing me back up, which is what you're trying to achieve with your mental health. You're trying to bring yourself back up from depression, not put yourself back in it. So I would try and stay clear of that. Maybe even going to the cinema might be a different way of watching a movie if that's something you enjoy. But yeah, ringing a friend is my last one. I had a lot of times last year where I went through some really, really down days, and I found by ringing up my friends on the way home from work, just saying, look, I've had a really bad day, this is what happened. And most of the time my friends would go, Chicky, you're doing okay. And by that, it spun me back and put me back into a spot where I was like, okay, you know what, I can do this, I am doing okay, it's just a bad day, let's write it off and let's start again tomorrow. So there's some of my tips. I know that some people have different ways that they help with their mental health. My 3 tips on mental health: get out of the house, get up, get dressed, don't go back to bed, and speak to people. They're my 3 biggest things. If you're out of the house and you're talking to people, you're dressed, you're empowered that you can get through a day. And by not going back to bed, you're facing the day, you're not giving into that depression. if you are going through a really bad spot, go speak to a doctor and go speak to someone professional. But if that doesn't work for you, speak to someone, whether it be a family member or a friend. They're my biggest tips. And as I said, I am not a professional. I have no training in this, but this is something that I have found for myself that works. So I'm hoping that this vlog has helped someone, and I've given you some ideas of what you can do. If you have any other ideas that I haven't mentioned, please comment in the box below, and I might even be able to make another vlog later on the tips that people have given me. And I know I could give you lots of resources of what's out there for speaking to someone, Beyond Blue, things like that. But you know that on the internet there's so much stuff, so even just having a bit of a research of who you can talk to is a big help. But yeah, so I hope that this has helped at least someone, and if there's anything that I can add, please comment in the box below. Have a good day.